Welcome to Framework Fortune and welcome back to the Framework Fortune community. I'm your host Ben and it's time for today's episode of The Last Rip, where we cover the top Nasdaq and NYSE gainers. So first off, I want to talk about the SPY. The SPY is not looking too good in my opinion. If you've been following me for a while, I've been saying pretty much since December, November last year that I think the SPY is due for a pretty big correction. And that may be coming soon because we are running into some strong resistance. Sellers are sitting here and not letting the whole entire market move up. Every time it comes up this close to that 422 area, 423, it is getting pushed back down. And it just got pushed back down below the 20-day moving average and the uptrend. Last time this uptrend cracked, we came down to the 50 both times, right here and right here, and then even back here. Now the 50 is a little spread out, so we could have a little bit of a drop down to 410 to get to that 50. And then if we don't see this 50-day hold up like it has previously, then we're going to see a pretty nice correction coming. So I've liquidated a lot of my stock accounts. I'm not holding too many things long term at the moment. Only things that I really like and I'm not worried about if the market crashes. And I'm not suggesting that anybody do the same as I am. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. Pretty much at the moment I am just day trading and swing trading and keeping my capital safe, because at any time, this market, the way it looks, is really shaky. And the volume has been getting lighter and lighter. You can see right across there. But anyway, let's hop into the top gainers. So first we're going to look at the Nasdaq Top Gainers. Yesterday, I know in the video I said I was looking at the top Nasdaq gainers first. I actually looked at the top end at YSC first and then went to the Nasdaq. But today, it is correct. I'm starting with the top gainers in the Nasdaq. So the first one on the list is SAML. They're up 40%. They don't have any news, not had any news since May 17. Only had 300,000 in volume, so not a lot of volume. It made a move from about 312 to 449, which is a pretty nice rip. Kind of a U-shape right there you could have got in, or this EMA crossover. As you can see, the 20 crossed over all three EMAs, and this thing was bullish until that cracked, but it's still kind of bullish at the moment. So I don't know why this has popped up. Could be a pump and dump. It just doesn't have a whole lot of volume since it came out, and it's been pretty volatile when it does get some volume. You can see these big upper wicks on a lot of these candles back here, and even when it's pushed up like it did about 2 weeks ago, still big upper wicks. A lot of selling pressure on this stock for some reason, trying to keep it below this $6 area. So I don't know if it's worth watching. Maybe if it gets some volume, but as of now, it's nothing I would pay attention to. Next on the list, we got EFOI. This did have some good volume, 18 million volume. Only 4 million in float, or a little less actually because of the shares. They had some PR where they had news of partnership with 3UV. Don't know what 3UV is, but you can see they're jointly market and distribute UV by energy focused products. So it's an energy stock. Energy stocks could be hot because we have an administration that is pushing other energies besides oil and gasoline. Of course, we've been seeing oil and gasoline continue to go up. So pretty much I'd say energy stocks are definitely ones to keep on watch, especially low float ones like this, for any buying opportunities that may come into them. And it has crossed over the 50-day right there with the 20, and it looks like it's trying to cross over the 100. So it's close to going bullish again, but still, like I said, this upper wick, I'd be a little cautious with it. Next we have INTG, Intergroup. I'm not sure what that is, but very low volume stock for the most part, especially over the past year. And then today it just broke out, went sideways for a long time right there, crossed those indicators until finally some buying came in and pushed this up. But very nice move from $40 up to $61, about a $20 move. No news though, so not really any reason why I would look for this or trade this, but somebody bought it today and pushed it up. Next we have EXSB. This looks like a reverse stock split because we got this big gap up here and then just sideways movement. So nothing there, even though it says it's up 30%. It's just a meh. There is a dividend there, but with these reverse stock splits, it's not anything I'd pay much attention to. Wkhs, now this I do know about. This is a EV company. I think it's an EV truck company. Let's see if they got some news here. Yeah, so they've got some interest in the stock among retail investors on social media. So kind of going back to the whole AMC and GameStop group that's pushing stocks up. That looks like that's what happened here. But there was some buying that started yesterday. So I think Wkhs, this is a possibly good EV company to keep an eye on, and did get all the way up to 42, 43 before. So if institutions come back into this, which this back here kind of looks a little bit like some institutional buying, getting in before the social media hype, and then this looks like the social media hype, especially right here on this candle. This candle right here is a good indicator that this was some type of pump by some group, because it ran from $14 all the way up to $18 and then just got slammed back down. So the buyers who were getting in here at market open, they were selling up there once the stock ran, $4. So they were locking out those profits, pushing it back down. That's something you got to be aware of. Looking at it on the daily chart, the 20's way down here. This thing is not bullish at all. It's bearish. But keep an eye on it if EV stocks start to get hot like they were last year, because we did see a lot of EV stocks get some big rips, and this could be the start of a new hot EV market possibly. So next on the list, we got CONN. This is up 27%. They had some PR about earnings. They turned record profit and blew past estimates. So good earnings report there. The market responded well to this. It was already bullish. You can even see on the daily chart it was bullish. So coming out with those nice earnings now, just getting bought up. Very nice move from 25 up to 30. And then it's continued to climb. So this is actually a decent play for today if you traded it. Good job finding it with those nice earnings and nice growth and nice low float. I kind of expected to probably have a pullback here at 30. Probably consolidate between 30 and 25 for a little bit. Maybe make a flag or something to allow these indicators to catch up. And then we could see it maybe in a week this continue to rip. Next we got SIGL, which was up 26%. No PR, an ugly chart pattern. It ripped one time a long time ago from 3 cents up to 70.85. That is a disgusting rip. It is very low float. 10 million in shares, and this is an OTC stock. So even though this is the Nasdaq Top Gainer list, sometimes some OTC stocks slip in here for some reason. But it being an OTC stock, I mean, this could be a pump and dump, anything, who knows. Back here, there was no buying, and then all of a sudden this morning, some random buying first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day just sideways, so nothing really there. Next, we got ATMS. We have no news, ugly chart pattern, dashes, not even going to cover it, not worth talking about. LEDS. Now, this is an interesting one to talk about. This one has been popping up quite a bit the last couple of weeks, and it's been on some nice upward momentum, holding above that 20-day moving average. Today it went from 12 all the way up to 21, and if you look there, we were bullish on the daily, and then right here on the 15-minute we got a nice crossover. The 20-day was below all these indicators. They're all smushed together. The 20 crosses over, and as soon as it busts over the top of those, boom, big rip. So very nice right there on this play. There's no news, but this is one that has been hot. So this is definitely one that's probably going to continue to pop up on watch list and everybody's radar, if it's not already on your radar, because of the moves that it has been making. Because very low float, only 4 million shares, had 29 million in volume. That's 5 times the amount of the float, and we got a big rip. So definitely if you're day trading, probably keep an eye on it. Maybe even if you're swing trading. I don't think I'd get it here if you're swing trading. I'd probably wait for it closer back to the 20-day. So next we got QLR. This chart is a little choppy. Okay, that's why, because it's an OTC stock. Another one that slipped on the top 10% Nasdaq list. Not really worth covering in my opinion. It did get some nice buy-in yesterday afternoon and still going in the day. But okay, so actually, let's see. They had news yesterday, says that they're going to uplist to the NYSE. And it's a pretty high float, though. I probably wouldn't mess with it, but it could get another pop being uplisted. This is probably the only pop it'll get, but you never know with the uplisting. People might like this for some reason. This is a technology stock, so probably do a little research into it, see what they're looking at as far as their technology. So on to the NYSE. We have GTT. There are several traders who were talking about that in the chat this morning. I think Dom Provincial was one of them, maybe Elvis. This had no news, just had some good volume. GTT, decent float, about 55 million probably. It was getting a move up yesterday and then just continued that rip up, moving from about 331 up to 475. So if you day traded that, could have got a very nice move, but just sold off the rest of the day. Got rejected at that 200-day moving average, so that's very strong support and resistance. We did get the 20 crossing over the 50, but this is still pretty bearish. And that big, ugly wick right there was a lot of selling pressure that pushed us all the way back down. So this probably will have to go sideways for a couple of days if it's going to try to move again. But it's been in a downtrend all year, so more than likely this thing is probably done after this rip. Next we have KIN. This was up 23%. So we got to look at his PR at the study results. There's not a lot of PR on this, but it says the company had positive results on dogs infected with the parvovirus, which is good. Maybe that was the one we were talking about yesterday. Oh yeah, this is the one we were talking about yesterday. Good news for dogs. Parvo is really bad for them, and it made this nice little move up yesterday. Today, really getting some push into it, moving from 530 up to 745. So again, positive results can lead to these nice rips. Next, we got PYR. They announced a request for cost estimate from major iron ore producer for 36 plasma torches. So I wonder what they're doing that for. You would have to dig into this company some more to see why they're looking for those. That PR came out late and it got bought up right before market closed. You had to look right there, 20-day crossover, all the indicators, and it ran from 524 up to 7. Market, it is still pretty bearish below all indicators. Got hung up right there at that 100-day. So I don't know if this will be something that will move tomorrow or not. It only got 1 million in volume, which that 1 million in volume must have all came. Yeah, all that 1 million in volume came all at once right here at market close. A little bit higher of a float, probably around 150, 160. TEN, Tenneco Automotive. Not any news on this. Been kind of just slowly climbing. Looks like they do randomly pay out a dividend in that 80 million area of shares. So not that high of a float. Decent float. And let's see, we had a bounce off the 50-day with the 20, and it moved from about 18 up to 21 here in after hours. So a little bit of a slow mover. Not something I would trade, but if you like automotive stocks, could be one to check into. So next on the list, we got IPW up 14.9%. Looks like this IPO'd or uplisted here recently. Yeah, May 12th. Been pretty volatile. Not a lot of volume, though, with that volatility. Only 25 million in float. Yeah, today it only had 159,000 in volume and moved from 6 all the way up to 733. So this wouldn't be anything I'd really trade. But it did cross over all the EMAs here on the daily, so this thing is kind of bullish now. It could be one to keep an eye on. Actually, I'm going to put it on my watch list just for tomorrow, just to see what it does. Maybe Monday. Next, we got FUV. They did a showcase. It's another EV stock where social media is pushing it. So like I said, okay, we've got 2 EV stocks now. So it looks like we may be going back into another hot EV market like we had back here. Maybe, maybe not. It's still kind of early to tell. As you can see, all these EV stocks are below the indicators. But if we see them continue to push up, they could be some good plays again. And that one is only 35 million in float. That's pretty low. I'm going to throw that up there on the watch list as well, just to keep an eye on it because it is a low float EV stock. Next, we got NGL. Let's see, they had some Q4 losses amid higher revenue, and they announced some partners, it looks like. So it's kind of some mixed PR, but it did get a pop-up. Medium float, about 129, had 7 million in volume. Ran from about 275 up to 321, so not a very big rip, and just got hung up at that 200 day. So the 20s crossed over the indicators here, but it's still a ways away from the 200 day. So it had, look, and yeah, it hasn't been over the 200 day all year. So we'll see if it can break over that. If it could break over that, then maybe it could go bullish again. But at the moment, just not sure what this is going to do. This could have been all it had. I mean, this wasn't a big rip, like I said. Next on the list, BQ Holdings. They had some earnings back on May 26th, but no recent news. Decent 90 million in shares. So medium float, only had 338,000 volume today, which it ran from 422 to 499. Don't really know why. This is probably just some people who like this company just buying it up. Maybe an institution purchasing a small position of like 340,000 shares. This is nothing I would even been looking at. So AMS, no PR there. Pretty ugly choppy chart with a bunch of upward wicks. Very low float, only 5.8 million in shares. It got 880,000 in volume, ripping from 276 up to 324. Decent move, but the EMA has crossed over the 50-day here and all the rest of the other indicators, so this may start going bullish, depending on what the market does. And this did have a nice pop one day from 240 up to 397. So this thing, oh, right here too, 250 all the way up to 5 something. So this thing can get some nice moves. Building a little bit of higher lows right there. Kind of got like this little uptrend going on. And it's getting held up at 325 resistance, 330 right across there. You can see multiple times hit back there, hit there, and today we hit there. So break of 325, 350 area, this could start going again. So I'm actually going to throw that on the watch list as well. Very low float. I like seeing low floats with good daily chart patterns. If you got a good daily chart pattern, you're bullish on all indicators. More than likely, if the stock starts making some moves up on the intraday chart when you're trading, you can get some decent little scalps and sometimes some big rips. And the last one was UK, straight downtrend. No PR. They had some PR yesterday, announced a merger. Very little volume, 351,000. Just kind of, not really much going on with that. That's not one that I would really pay much attention to. Now, like I was saying a minute ago, you can sometimes find a stock in these after-hour times that could rip tomorrow, especially a low float. So that's why I added those to my watch list. If you call it last night's episode of Last Rip, I saw BTX, which was up. And today I got in here. It did drop for a little bit. You can see I bought in this first candle here on the 15-minute. And I was down a little bit there for a minute. But it hit this 100-day, which it held up back here. And then continued to push up. And I got out a little bit somewhere in this area right here for a little small $20 profit on 20 shares. So not a big win, but it was still nice. There was a lot of other rips going on this morning, like Ears made a nice rip. It's not showing on the top list, but we'll look at it in just a second. But those ones I just put on my list today could be some more plays like this one because they're low float, that they could get some small pops, maybe tomorrow or Monday. So we'll keep an eye on them and see. And that's what I want to do every day, is see if we can find some the day before they rip. And that way we can get in before anybody else can, because that's what we want to do. We want to be first. We don't want to be last. So Ears, we were watching right out the gate. This is one that I did like this morning, but I'd already gotten into BTX. They had some good news. They did an acquisition of another company. So people like that. Day traders like that. and it ended up running from 388 up to 458. Couldn't get up over that pre-market high, but still a nice little move there in the first 30 minutes of the market. If you played this, good job getting some good profits. So that's it for today's episode of Last Rip. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on some of these stocks and what you're watching, and we can have a discussion. And remember, we're at war with that YouTube algorithm, so be sure to hit that like button to teach it a lesson. Appreciate everybody joining me as always. Stay safe out there. Until next time.